It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we've got a beer from Drygate Brewery. And this is their Tropes, an IPA with pineapple, passion fruit and orange. It's a 6.5% ABV beer. I picked it up as part of the relatively new Lidl Craft Beer Festival just Thursday gone. 6.5% ABV. It would have cost me about £1.25 a can for this 330ml can. So without further ado then, it's a vegan friendly beer. Let's get it out into a glass and see what we get. It's a Scottish beer. Some of you might have had their disco forklift truck, which I rather like actually. It's quite a nice beer. You used to be able to get it in Morrison's. To be honest, I'm one of these people, once I kind of review a beer, because there's so much beer coming out for me to review, I kind of review it and then move on. So it's probably still in Morrison's, it's just in my mind. I've not seen it in a while because I'm not looking. Does that make sense? With this beer, we got a one finger whitehead, hazy amber coloured beer, slow moving carbonation. Let's look at that. Let's get the aroma. Lots of people enjoying this. I've had a few dodgy to say the least, of the new Lidl craft beers, and it's a real shame because like two of the last Lidl craft beer festivals have been wonderful. The beers have been terrific. We've had some Cocoa Nokas and beautiful stouts, and we've had IPAs and New England IPAs, even a double New England IPA, and it's been really, really good. But this release has been a bit rubbish. But the beers that I have reviewed that have been a bit rubbish, you guys have commented in the comments box saying, try the Tropes from Drygate. It's a good one. It smells pretty good. You can tell it's had some purees added to it, some pineapples, or what have we got? Pineapple, passion fruit, orange. They're definitely concentrates rather than hops. But I mean, for that price, let's dive in. Cheers. That's juice. It's just juice. It's alcohol juice. It's what do we call this? I mean, I've got to be fair. I've got to be honest, because I ripped the Omnipolo beer apart, and I mean, if I was to not, because of the price, mind you, the Omnipolo beer that launched into Tesco, that lemonade beer, that was £5. That was £5. The difference here is this was £1.25. So my whole argument with the Omnipolo beer was, for £5 you should be using like lots of hops, not concentrates. But I suppose the argument has to change a little bit here, because it's £1.25, and if you were to cram this beer, the amount of flavour that's coming off this beer, if you were to cram it with the amount of hops that you would have needed for that flavour, it would be a £3-4 can of beer, at least. So what the brewer chooses to do to get it into this craft beer festival is to bish bash bosh, bang, whack some fruit juice in there and sell it on. So is this a beer or is this an alco pop? It's very sweet. It's very syrupy. Very sweet, very syrupy. It's a fine line, isn't it? It's a real fine line. The flavours, they are quite artificial. They are quite artificial. I can understand the comments I've had. I can totally understand the reasoning for you guys to like the beer. I'm not arguing against that. Just, you're either going to like this beer or you're not going to like this beer. But I think we should, this really needs to boil down to price. I think this really needs to boil down to price, and that is, it's not as bad as the other beers in the little beer festival of May 2021. But if you put this, if you were to drink those bad beers and then drink this, I can understand why you would like it. But if you were to, say, go to your local bottle shop, buy a load of their beers and then stick this in the middle of it and add this as part of your session, I can guarantee you the moment you got round to this with all your really nice fancy beer, you'd go, oof, that's different, what's that? And I think that's what's happened. I think you've all gone out, you've bought the little batch of beers and you've drank some of them and gone, oh, this is horrendous. And then you've opened this and gone, actually, it's not too bad. Which it isn't. It isn't. It's just very concentrated. It's very fruit concentrated with that pineapple, passion fruit and orange. It's very sweet. It's very syrupy. It's not a bad beer. It's not a bad beer, but it's very much like an alcohol pop. It's very much like an alcohol pop. And I have to be fair. I can't stand here saying how much of an amazing beer this is when I completely tore apart the Omnipolo lemonade beer. But again, there was a massive price fluctuation in that. £5 for that Omnipolo compared to £1.25 for this Tropes. It's a big difference in price. Okay, so fruity hops, toasted malt and sackfuls of tropical character. Tropes pack some of our favourite long-running themes from the last few years in beer into one juicy and delicious IPA. They've been brewing in the historic heart of Glasgow since 2014. There we go. I've had some pretty decent beers from this brewery. I liked it, as I mentioned earlier, I like the Disco Forklift Truck. It's a rather nice beer. On this occasion, I think it's a bit too sweet. It's a bit too concentrated in terms of concentrated. They use concentrated ice cream flavours. So the same flavours you get in your ice cream, those concentrated flavours. The brewers buy ice cream concentrates. So in this case, pineapple, passion fruit, orange, ice cream concentrates, and then they add it to the beer. Yeah, you could probably stand back now and say it's cheating. It probably is, but for £1.25, you're never going to get a beer with the amount of hops you need to get it to smell and taste like this for a £1.25 beer. Absolutely impossible. So you can understand the reasoning for why they do it. Rating. If that was handed to me on a sunny barbecue day on a Sunday afternoon and I had a hot dog in my hand and the sun was blaring down on me and it was cold, I'd have no complaints. I'd have no complaints whatsoever. But the fact that it's very sweet, it's very syrupy, very sweet, very syrupy, very full of ice cream concentrates means that you got to bear the price in as well. This is a really tough rating. I'm going to be fair on this one. Judging that it was £1.25 a can. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box. Subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews. Give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom. Cheers.